Consciousness. It's a word we use a lot here. And we have to be careful about these words that kind of become the norm in New Thought. Chakras. People kind of talk about chakras a lot in this level of thinking and school of thought and teaching. And one time I decided in a class to ask, what is a chakra? And nobody could answer me. And I thought, we need to learn some of these things. So consciousness. First of all, I looked up Charles Fillmore, who has a great influence in New Thought ideas, and just a simple statement that says consciousness is knowing that you know. And I like that. It was simple, but it was profound. Knowing that you know. How often do we go through a day of reaction, language, actions that we're not even conscious? We're just on automatic, and we just do it. We just do it. And we're not conscious of that which we do. And that is where the power lies within us, is the ability to be mindful and awake and alert, especially in these days that we live in where things are more viewed, with Facebook and with technology that we have it today. I mean, once you put something out there, it's out there. And people are going to read it that you don't know, that don't know you. And I think all of us who do Facebook and are a part of that, even that would be something to be very mindful about how you're going to respond to somebody. I sometimes react, if something really pushes my button, and I wish I'd have thought it through a little more before I responded to it. So whether it's in person or through technology, we want to be very mindful how we put ourselves out and express ourselves through words by being more conscious of it. The subconscious world, we hear a lot about that. What is the subconscious world? It's the sum of all of mankind's past thinking. So when you get into the subconscious level of your personal consciousness, you start tapping into something that is collective. Carl Jung gave us that great understanding, and his contribution, the great psychologist, in understanding that there is a collective unconsciousness in the world today. Well, that collective unconsciousness is a part of your subconscious. In other words, you're there, but you're not there alone. You're there a part of all of the thoughts in which we have as a species of people. And that's important that we realize that this is a great tool for spirit to use, to getting into when we do things like praying for America, or praying for the world, or praying for a certain place or person that is beyond our scope of our personal consciousness. Spirit, being given that opening through the subconscious, can reverberate itself out and touch so many on an energetic level. Because when we get into the field of energy, we are so less, what is the word I want? So less, I shouldn't go on trips on Saturday. Limited. We're not limited in personal consciousness. And when we're limited, we're going to pray for people we know. We're going to address people we know, people that it's in our awareness personally. But when we get into this thing of intercessory prayer, or like the prayer that we do, I guess are we still doing a Thursday prayer thing, Kathy?
I send an email out.
Yeah. But I think that's important that continues to be something bigger than our personal selves, that we're praying for those things that are beyond our personal awareness of things that we need to pray for. And we need to continue to be bigger than the four walls of this building right here, and to make sure that our prayer is a way of, not endorsing, but a way of extending ourselves into the collective unconsciousness. And when it comes to how it affects you in the subconscious, means that it's going to have to affect everybody, or you're not going to get it. I want you to get that. In other words, your healing will come from the healing of the world on the subconscious level. On a personal conscious level, it's about me, me, me. And that's the level ego uses a lot, is that individual personal consciousness of the me, 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 and my world and mine. But when we become intercessory, I like this word intercessory, maybe new to a lot of you, don't come from where I come from, where there used to be intercessory prayer groups of people that were gathering together to pray for the bigger picture of life, not for individual alone, but for bigger things. The Pentecostal religion that I was raised in actually was birthed out of a group of people meeting in Los Angeles on Azusa Street and just praying for some kind of a movement from the divine. They didn't know what it was going to be and what it was going to look like and how it was going to be, but they just opened themselves up that we need something that is world shaking, something that's going to move itself throughout the collective consciousness of the world. And sometimes maybe we need to have a vision that's a little bigger like that, especially at this time we're living in. This would be a great time for divine intervention to come into the world as divided it is today, and with all that is emerging on the body politic. So the subconscious is a very important part. Then we have the superconscious. The superconscious. That really is what we call, I think, the Christ conscious. When we come to Christ consciousness, again, we're not talking about an individual named Jesus. See, religion has projected the Christ on one person using one body of one person. But Christ is a many-membered. Many-membered. It says, so as the body is made of many members, so is Christ made of many members. So the Christ is universal. It is the universal archetype of the divine in the human level of experience. And one person could not hold all that was. And that's why that one person became the teacher and the way shower to tell us that what I've done and what I've learned and what I've discovered, you can do also. And not only that, but you'll do it greater than I am because there's more of you than me. See, because I'm the good seed that fell into good ground and brought forth the fruit. You are the fruit of the Christ consciousness today. This is where the divine spiritual thoughts, God thoughts, if you want to call them, are stored within us. So we have the personal consciousness, which is mostly about me, mine. We have the subconscious, which is the collective unconsciousness of anyone who has ever had a thought or an experience with intention. Now, I do not believe that all thoughts themselves are registered. I think only thoughts that have intention to them become registered. You can have kind of an empty thought just run through your head that doesn't mean a thing and it just kind of goes away. But when it becomes a thought that has a rhythm to it, a loop to it, it becomes a thought which is caught on in the collective, in the mass consciousness, then that is registered always in the collective unconscious part of us. So again, allowing spirit to move through that part can make it different. We're after awakened consciousness. So that means that we've got a lot of consciousness in us that is yet to be awakened in us. A state of elevated awareness and perception in which a person has a deeper understanding of the nature of reality, the self, and various spiritual aspects of life that play an important role in one's personal evolution. So again, you have personal evolution, you have collective evolution, and you have divine evolution. The divine evolution is the awakening of the divine. That's all the divine needs to do. It doesn't need to evolve. It needs to wake up in us in this human dense level in which it's found itself in this density of matter, which is a sleep energy. Matter is energy that has gone asleep into matter, and it's dreaming. And it's not dreaming who it is, but it's dreaming who it thinks it is, based upon outside influence of culture, society, religions, and etc. So consciousness is the name of the game, really. It's all about the consciousness. Your life is a journey from unconsciousness to higher consciousness. And that's what we want to be here. This is why we try to have such a good, I think, variety of teachings here, for the fact that we're not stuck on one way of saying it, but we want to hear it in many different directions. Maybe we want to hear more from a mystical, religious side of it. Maybe we want to hear from a spiritual, scientific point of it. Maybe we want to go back into the ancient wisdoms of the Kabbalah, or that we want to look at some of the newer things that has come through, like A Course in Miracles and A Course of Love. All of these things are given to us at this time to bring us into present truth that is coming forth for this time that we are living here on the earth. One thing that I'm learning more and more is that your life is not random or a random series of events. It may appear like it, but it's not at the deeper level. When you become a conscious person, you begin to realize that everything first is energy, and that energy patterns itself based upon the consciousness that it gives it. In other words, consciousness patterns energy. So the consciousness in which we view the energy gives energy the pattern in which that it becomes. And of course the ego projects that out until we have bad energy. We got evil energy. We call it spirit in religion, an evil spirit or a bad spirit or a good spirit. No, energy is neither good nor bad. Energy just is. It's neutral. But it's the patterning of it based upon the consciousness it is given that gives it what we would perceive as not good and good. I used to use this simple illustration back in the days that we had projectors, and we showed films and movies through a projector, that if I brought you two movies, and one of the movies was violent and terrible and just not good at all, and a lot of dark stuff going on and whatever, that would not be a good movie to you. You might even say it's a really bad movie. Maybe you'd even perceive it as an evil movie. But if we changed the film in it and we did the most wonderful movie, something that made you feel good and spiritual and uplifted, and it really built your faith and your vision, and you'd say, oh, what a good movie. Okay, so now you got a movie that's not good and you got a good movie. Now, you would be ridiculous to deal with the light from the projector that these movies ran through. So you can't say the light and the projector was good or bad. It was whatever images was given to the light that was projected on the screen that was good or bad. Are you getting me? So that's when you come from the essence that I am divine, I am sacred, I am spirit, I am energy, whatever you want to say. We're not talking about a level in which something is either good or bad. We're talking about something that just is. But it's us that gives the image to it. We make the movie. Your perceptions pattern the light to make it become what it is. So if you have a bad movie, you want to get a good movie. But it's not the movie, it's only the images of the movie that is run through the consciousness of light itself, projected out into the world. So the fact that energy takes on a pattern is very important in the sense that we need to change patterns often, not energy. I was raised in a church where everybody wanted to cast out the evil, the bad, the devil, whatever. And that was totally ridiculous when all they need to do is change their movie. But we didn't have anybody writing the movie for us that was good. It was all bad movies that was coming out. It was all about negative and the bad things that were going on like that. So as we return back to the pure Christ consciousness, means that we're returning back to the pure light. Now we begin to realize, how do I want to see myself, others, and the world? That's where we have the great power. So let's talk about 6 levels of consciousness real quick that I want to give to you very quickly. The first one is life happens to you. This is the first level. So you stay caught in your head, finding yourself lost in your storyteller that resists, reacts, defends, and explains, hoping to figure out everything out. And generally does absolutely anything except be open to life right here, right now. So the more unconscious you are, the more often you feel like a victim to life because life happens to you. Okay? When you live in that belief that life is happening to you, you often view it as a possible threat. Okay? The second level of higher consciousness is life happens by you. When it becomes too uncomfortable to live with this much powerlessness, you evolve into a belief that life is happening by you. Rather than being a victim, you believe you can control it, hoping to make yourself be what you think you should be. Now, that may touch on some of you because I think some hold that belief that they have total control over creating their destiny. And you might just want to contemplate that, maybe rethink it a little bit. I'm not trying to change anybody. I'm just trying to put out some information for you to contemplate and to think about. But there can be a great feeling of personal power in the level of consciousness. It is necessary to step in moving out of victimhood into the first stage in which people get caught there. And the truth is, if I believe that and it doesn't work, then I feel like a failure and something's wrong with me. What was wrong with me? Because I thought I'm totally in control of everything that I have experiencing in life. Maybe, maybe not. Let's just see how this all fits in. The third level of higher consciousness is life happens in you. You eventually begin to see that all your reacting and controlling hasn't brought you the ease and the joy you longed for. You may begin to get an inkling that life is something to be listened to, open to. This is where you start evolving into the next phase of higher consciousness where life is happening in you. All right? So, in this phase of higher consciousness, that you also realize that your suffering doesn't come from the experiences of your life. Instead, it comes from the stories that's happening in your own mind. And how many times is that story really accurate at all? Then on another, say, there could be a gray day and you're fine. There could be another gray day and you could be miserable. You may say it because the day is gray, but because your story about the day is gray, not the gray day. But your story about on gray days, I cannot be happy, it's depressing, I don't like gray days, that's your story. Okay? Fourth one, life happens for you. The more you become curious about what is happening rather than reacting, controlling, the more you come to a wonderful realization that life is for you. No matter what is happening in your life, you finally understand that life knows what it is doing. Life is not a random series of events. It is highly intelligent unfolding that is putting, somebody wrote something there, is putting you into an exact situation you need in order to see and unhook from the spells that keep you separate from its flow. At this level of consciousness, rather than life being something you have to mold and shape into what you want it to be, you begin to show up for life exactly as it is. Yes, the flow of life includes pain, loss, and death, but resisting the pains of life can only turn them into suffering. Now, this is very Buddhist here, but one thing I got out of teaching the Buddhist class at Unity was the fact that I can have pain, but I don't have to suffer. Suffering is up here, even when pain is here. So I had a little situation this week. I had a face thing that I got to go to and do, and it hurt. I knew it was going to hurt because I've had it before, and it's, kind of a laser thing that stung and whatever. I said, I'm going to practice this. I'm going to become Buddhist today, and I'm going to go through this pain, but I'm not going to suffer. It was amazing and it was painful, but I chose in my mind not to suffer because of that pain. The pain was what it was. I knew it would come. I knew it would go, and that's all right. Instead of the story of, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my Lord, because I used to go into these people and say, I'm a guy. We're not built for pain. That used to be my first defense. It's, I'm a guy. Take it easy. We don't have any pain tolerance whatsoever. But it really worked for me, and I thought, next time I get a pain in my back or my leg or my foot, do I really have to suffer over it? Maybe I don't. Maybe I can make a completely different choice. There you go. Woo, okay. And the fifth level of higher consciousness, life happens through you. The for you phase shows you that there is no such thing as an ordinary moment in your life and helps you to see that life is speaking to you at all moments. This is where you recognize that life is trustable. It is not always likable, but it knows what it's doing. That was mentioned, I think, Karen, today in the class twice, which I thought that's important. We must listen to it, that it came up twice, that when our body is in pain or hurting, listen to it. Meet it. Don't run from it. Don't try to deaden it. It's telling you something. What are you telling me? Thank you, old friend, for reminding me of something that I've either forgotten or something that I need to learn about myself. So life is happening through you. And finally, 6, life is happening as you. You see that life is you. You are no longer a separate being. Instead, you merge completely back into the creative flow of life, understanding that everything, every rock, person, cloud, molecule, and ladybug is you. You are life. Eckhart Tolle said, and I love this quote, "You are not in the universe, you are the universe. An intrinsic part of it. Ultimately, you are not a person, but a focal point where the universe is becoming conscious of itself." Oh, that is so good. I'm going to read it again. You are not a person, but a focal point where the universe is becoming conscious of itself. What an amazing miracle. So here are the 6 things, and I think we have for you PowerPoints to give to you. Thank you, Debbie. Debbie is trying to get us to do this. Life happens to you. Life happens by you. Life happens in you. Life happens for you. And life happens through you. And life is you. This is simple, not deep, but it is something that we all need to practice in our everyday life when we leave these meetings. It's so easy to be together with like-minded people in this atmosphere and practice these principles. But the real test is going to be when you leave here today and you go back into that world. And all of the people that cross your path is going to give you an opportunity to be conscious of that moment, of how that you are going to see life through the lens of consciousness. So let us practice what we preach. Let us be and become that which we say we stand for and that we aspire to in these sayings. Let us truly become spirit-guided and very conscious of the life in which has been given basically to us.
Time to let your heart light shine. Time to let your